Okay, everybody, and here we are with part two of our look at the Hasbro Masterpiece Soundwave. As I mentioned in the first part of the review, the cassettes and their accessories can interact with Soundwave in different ways. This one particular way I'm going to show you right now is exclusively for tape cassette mode, and it's actually kind of unique, and it's one of those things that at first you're like, oh, that's kind of cool, but then it's sort of like, well, did they really need to include it? Basically what you need is one of the set of pile drivers from either Rumble or Frenzy, that little hand scanner device, and of course Soundwave. As you can see here, there are two tabs. This is how they pegs into Soundwave's hand, and there are two slots here on the top of the cap of the pile drivers. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to slot it in, make sure that this hook is facing up, and this tab is facing, the tab that we use to peg it into the back of Soundwave is facing down, and then just plug it in, like so. Now, on the side of Soundwave here, you noticed two plugs that look like, the tips of a Lego brick or something. Well, there are two holes in here. What you'll do is just go ahead, slide this in, just like that, and basically now what you have is when Soundwave would transform into his cassette mode and interface with a larger screen, this was the connector, what the connector was. Oops, I'm pulling that apart. But as you can see, you can just extend, if you like, the pile drivers to work, like be like the little tubing and what have you that would plug in to the side of the monitor or computer or whatever. It's interesting, but like I said, it's really nothing special. So now we're going to start, and we're going to take a look at the cassettes individually. All the cassettes come with little micro cassette cases. There is a correct way and an incorrect way to store them in the case. As you can see, right here along the bottom is the Transformers logo embossed in. Basically, you want that facing up, even though the case opens like this. The top of the cassette should be facing towards that logo. Actually, I should say facing away from it, and then the case will close properly, just like that. If you don't have it like that, the case will not close as easily. Obviously, you can tell we're going to start off with Laserbeak. This was the cassette that was included with the original Japanese release. And I have to say, I tend to almost agree with most people who say you're basically buying Masterpiece Laserbeak and getting Masterpiece Soundwave free. That's how cool this is. To start the transformation, you want to come in right where that little spot would be, where the actual tape would be on the cassette, and push in slightly. Helps if you have a nail, and that will bring up the head that you can catch it with your hand and fold it out, just like so. Next, what you want to do is come underneath and fold up the side panels here. These will become the boosters and lasers for Laserbeak. There is a double hinge, so you want to make sure you fold it over all the way so it is flush like that. You can then go ahead and fold up the fins on the back. Yep, there were fins. I love how they were able to fit these boosters into the transformation and not a separate piece. Next, you want to come from underneath and fold out these front panels, which will eventually become the wings. Much like the boosters, there is a double joint, so you want to make sure you fold both joints out. Turning the figure around, you want to come in from behind and then fold down what will become the feet. You might notice some texturing on the bottom here. That's something we'll get into a little later. After you fold them down, you can rotate them forward so the longer part of the foot is facing forward and this little rear part is facing towards the rear. Finally, you want to come in and slide the rear panel, what were the side panels, back. And here you have Laserbeak in his vulture mode. No, that's going by the American instructions. You know, in Japan, he was Condor, and it was supposed to be a armored Condor. But yeah, this is incredible. The head can move, so you can do some, posing like that. Theoretically, you can also bring the feet back down and have him like in a perch state, but that looks a little silly. But yeah, truly a marvelous form of engineering. And this is really indicative of toy designs for this second part of the new millennium or whatever. But really, I just can't see how the next level of toy design is going to go. This is just very impressive. Both Laserbeak and Buzzsaw feature a hidden spy camera in their head. Basically, you will push back on the rear part of the panel to try and pop it up slightly, and then go in there with your fingertip or nail to get it out. It is a little tricky to do, and that's why I did it off camera. But you can just push it back down, and you'll have your normal Laserbeak or Buzzsaw head. Okay, to transfer the Laserbeak or Buzzsaw mode back into cassette form, just really reverse the order of the instructions. First, fold these side panels up, just like so. Leave the head straight. Come underneath, rotate and fold the feet back up so they're flush with the body. You can go ahead and then fold those wing tips back down. Be mindful of the double joint, it could be a little tight. Fold the vertical fins back down on the boosters, lasers, what have you, and then just go ahead and fold those down back into place. Again, be mindful of the double joint. And then finally, come in and fold the head back up into the body, and you have him back in cassette mode. We're going to keep going along with the animal cassettes, and thus, here's a perennial favorite, Ravage. First, what you want to do is come in and flip out this little tab right there. You then want to go in, grab these sides, bring them together, peg it into place, and you have Ravage's head. That was his nose you flipped out. Next, what you can do is come on the sides here, lift up what will be the front legs of the panther, and you'll just have to unpeg them slightly and then flip it out. It is on ball joints, so it will work out quite nicely. Then you can come in from behind, flip what will be the tail out of the side, and then basically what you can do is then start bringing the back panel together, just like so, and then fold out what will be the rear legs of Ravage, just like so. I mean, you can worry about positioning them once he's transformed. Next, you have a little bravery moment. What you're going to do is fold it in half. It only goes in about one click, and then bring the head down. You can then bring the arms down so that the Decepticon logo is facing out on the side. And while you're doing that, rotate these side panels so that little longer section is facing towards the rear, and fold the feet down. Again, don't worry about positioning until once it's transformed, so, because you'll need all 4 legs. And then finally, bring down the rear halves. They will become his little missile launchers, and adjust the feet as so. And here you have Ravage. Now, some people have said they prefer the version of Ravage that came with Hound in the Classics 2.0 line, and that's okay. Believe it or not, that cassette, these cassettes, and the original cassettes from the 1980s are all intercompatible with Masterpiece Soundwave and the original Soundwave toy, as well as Sound Blaster, the repaints, and all that stuff. But I like Ravage, although I don't think, in terms of Beast as a Beast cassette, he's as strong as Laserbeak or Buzzsaw. Laserbeak and Buzzsaw just blow him away. To transform him back, we're just going to simply reverse the directions. Fold these panels up. Just straighten the legs out. You'll fold it back, when you start taking things apart. Just, get them out of the way. Come around the front here. Rotate things around. Just like this. Up and around. Straighten. Ravage out. So you got that. So then you just bring in these. And what's interesting is there's a little tab right there that will peg into the back of the arms. It's one of those things that you just got to finagle around to get it just right. And then, you go ahead and start folding things in. The feet, interesting enough, will fold in quite nicely there. Make sure you have everything set up in place. You can go ahead and swivel the tail back in. Come in, separate the head. Make sure you can just go ahead at that point and fold the nose back down, fold the head down, and I guess finally peg the legs back in, and there you have Ravage back in his cassette form. Now we come to the cassettes that I'm a little more excited about. Rumble and Frenzy. These were iconic characters on the show. Rumble, I think, a bit more than Frenzy, even though both of them, Soundwave and Ravage, were all voiced by Frank Welker. Just incredible. But what you want to do, start off, loosen up those top panels, fold down the side, bring it around, and then what you want to do is there's a double joint in there. So just go ahead, bring that all the way down. And at the same time as you're doing that, you want to make sure you have it all nice and straight, and then rotate it on the ball joint in the hip so the flat purple part is facing what will be the torso. And joints are a little tight, so you just want to, which is good. Tight joints are good. And just do them up like that. So you still have that arms up. Just come around the front here, and then flip down what would be his feet. They are on ball joints. You have ball jointed feet, so you'll have plenty of articulation. Next, you can just continue swinging down the top panels. These will obviously be the arms. Really close to the classic transformation. I am impressed by that. And now comes the tricky part. Right inside the forearm here is his hand. And you just want to go in and
try to grab it. Helps if you have a nail. Thankfully, I do, and just flip out the fist. Same thing on this side, and there you go. Finally, time for the head reveal. Little panel right here on the back. Just want to come in, push it up. Oh, you also want to, almost forgot, extend the waist a little. That helps with the overall look. But once you get it, just fold it up and rotate it around. And there we have Masterpiece Rumble. And I have to say, I like him a lot. Um, he does have knee joints, ball joints in the feet, as I mentioned, ball joints in the shoulders, swivel at the elbow, no waist articulation, but his head can rotate. Now, what's Rumble without some accessories? Am I right? Both Rumble and Frenzy have these little packs, which, if you remember, I showed you before interacting with Soundwave. Well, these work with the figures in a couple different ways. You'll notice this hook and two pegs right there. You come up behind Rumble or Frenzy. There's two holes in that slot where the head was, and you just peg it in. And this is supposed to be a jetpack. Yeah, that doesn't really work for me. I don't think that would work for most people. I actually never really saw it like that in the cartoon. I think it was just something that they mentioned or worked in. This covering part comes off. You can sort of store it on the back or use it on the back. I guess but it separates the pile drivers. Well, the pile drivers can then open up, and you can store inside each one his classic laser, which then can peg on the back of the figure on each side. But let's say you wanted to hold it, and I'm just doing this real quick, putting these off to the side. This is the peg to peg it into his back. Fold it down, and then it reveals the peg that this will fit in his hand. So you basically can have him using his lasers. Pew, 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 pew. But let's be honest with ourselves for a moment. This is not what Rumble is known for. Rumble is known for cracking the shells to get to the nuts inside. So what are you going to do? First, take the arm, rotate it up so the ball joint is facing out, fold the hand back in, and then bend it at the elbow. You will do this for both sides, and just like that. Now, you will grab one of the pile drivers, and really all you do is slide it in, and it's supposed to click into place, and each one has its designated side and arm. And you'll hear a click. There we go. And here you have Rumble in his pile driver mode. And what's nice is you just bend the arms forward slightly, extend the pile drivers down, bend them at the legs so they touch, and here you go. You got Rumble making a rumble. Boom, 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 boom. I think after Laserbeak, I like the Rumble Frenzy mold just because, I remember having these. I had a couple sets of them because I just destroyed them trying to position their arms because I couldn't understand the arms were fixed. But yeah, this is a really cool set, and I'm glad it was included with Soundwave. Okay,
To transform the Rumble Frenzy mold back into a cassette, remove the weapons, remove the accessories. Unfortunately, I guess, to preserve the anime accuracy of the mold, they couldn't figure out a way to keep the lasers molded into the back and removable, which I understand. So first you want to come in, turn the head around, fold it down just like so. Come on in, fold his hands up, and just like so. And then bring them back up like this. You're not going to fold them in yet, just keep them out of the way. Come in, collapse the waist, go ahead and fold the feet up, and then proceed to turn the legs back around while collapsing them up on that joint. It's a little tricky going back. Also doesn't help, my hands are a little sweaty. It's been a little hot out here, folks. So make sure you have the arms up, and then just peg everything back in. And just like that, you have them back in cassette mode. Alright, well, those were the cassettes. Now I'm going to show you a few more features and how they interact with Soundwave. Alright, brought Soundwave back, still in cassette mode, and I can show you this in either cassette or robot mode. He can hold the cassette. He can hold up to 3 cassettes. Press the button to open the tape deck. As you can see, there's this nice detailed plate. You can push the plate in, up to like 3 clicks or so, to give you enough room to put the cassettes in. And let me just do it so the real cassette side is facing out. And we're just gonna load them up in here, real nice. Ooh. And you got to be careful because sometimes things will get stuck as you're putting them in. And then all right, yeah. You want to make sure you have it all the way back. And if it looks like it's a little tricky, it kind of might be. All right, here we go. And then finally, trying to do this as quickly as possible, but you know, it's sometimes. There we go. Got them in. So again, just push the button. And once the cassettes are in there, they might stick a little. So, you know, here comes Frenzy. There's a little release button right here. This is actually why you couldn't store the batteries inside the figure. And look, it'll launch them out just like classic style. Like they would do. Okay, here we have Soundwave in robot mode, focusing in on his arm. Each arm has this little raised area that you can position like so. Take Laserbeak and Buzzsaw, and if you remember those little textured areas, well, those were grips that you can basically just go ahead and peg Laserbeak or Buzzsaw onto his arm like he's talking to him. It's like, you know. Also, these textured areas are on his shoulder. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but you can peg them in and they'll stay very secure. Okay, yes, I have Soundwave on his back, but that's because the next feature is actually in his feet. You can see these little panels right here. These are not mentioned in the instructions, and these were not mentioned in the original Takara instructions. Basically what you do is you can come in, pop them open,
And this is storage for either Rumble or Frenzy's laser guns. Now, I'm not going to show you how to put them in because it's very difficult to get them out. But the storage is there if you want it. Okay, finally we're looking at Soundwave's other arm. As you can see, on both forms there's this little indentation. Remember that clip piece for the pile drivers? Well, that can just hook on right there. It slides in, and this becomes some sort of arm blaster for Soundwave. Again, this is something that was never really shown in the cartoon, but it's there if you want to use it. Okay, final thoughts on the set. Toy of the Year 2013. Nothing comes close to the value for your dollar. This is your old pal Chuck.
For Masterpiece Soundwave, I'll see you next time. Buzzsaw, eject. Frenzy, eject. Ah, come on. See you next time, folks.